was a real game changer for me. It entirely transformed how I view studying, so you really have to try this out. Today, I'm going to dive deep into some of the most effective techniques to help you retain information, build confidence, and succeed on test day. Let's get started. Part 1: Efficient and Effective Memorization. Let's talk about one of the biggest misconceptions in studying, the idea that taking notes will help you memorize the material. I used to be like this too. I don't know how much time I once spent trying to organize textbook content neatly into a notebook, but all I ended up doing was just copying the textbook word to word and stressing myself out about smudging ink and ruining my aesthetic notes. Well, this stops now. My first study method for efficiency is material consolidation. If you're juggling multiple resources like textbooks, handouts, and study guides, it can feel chaotic. This is where the concept of material consolidation comes in. The idea is simple. Consolidate all your study materials into one place. For example, if your textbook covers most of the material but your worksheets include extra information, jot those details directly into your textbook. So there are two reasons why this helps, and the first one is that you don't have to waste time writing everything into a separate notebook. You just need to add small notes where they belong. And also, by doing this when it's time to study, you'll only need to open one resource, your annotated textbook. It saves time and keeps your focus sharp. So once you have consolidated your study materials into one place, the next step is layered reading or multiple read-throughs. But this doesn't mean reading the same material over and over in the same way. The key is to approach each read with a different purpose. On the first and second reads, skim through the material to understand the structure and identify the main ideas. This will help you clearly understand the key concepts, which are, after all, most important. Don't go into the details at first. You won't remember them anyway, so it's a waste of time. On subsequent reads, dive into the details. Focus on memorizing the finer points and clarifying any remaining questions. Each read builds on the last, helping you gradually deepen your understanding without feeling overwhelmed. You may have wondered, will rereading the textbook really do the trick? Well, the truth is, passive reviewing doesn't do much for retention. This is why you need active recall as well. Active recall is when you test your memory by retrieving information without looking at your notes. Here's how you can use it effectively. After studying a section of material, try to recall everything you can remember without looking. This is called blurting, and it's been a real game changer, like life-changing. Okay, why is it so effective? Active recall forces your brain to work hard to retrieve information, strengthening the neural connections needed for long-term memory. And the best part is that it highlights what you don't know so you can focus your energy on your weaknesses. Don't just read, engage with your material actively. Now, traditionally, people do this by writing down what they remember on blank paper, but again, I'm not a fan of writing. So, I have two methods for you, and first, I'm personally a fast typer, so I just type the information instead. And an even better way is to speak. Record yourself saying everything you can remember. This has two amazing benefits. According to research, explaining a concept in your own words is the most effective study technique for retaining information. And when you're blurting like this, you can explain stuff to yourself in a way, so it will help you remember it longer. And the second benefit is that you can re-listen to it anytime, when you're walking home from school, when you're in the shower, etc. So, by listening to it over and over, you don't have to, really muster up the effort to study. You just can. The brain naturally forgets information over time. This is known as the okay, I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's like, I'll put it up on the screen. It's Herman Ebbinghaus.
Herman Ebbinghaus.
Herman Ebbinghaus. So, the brain naturally forgets information over time. This is known as the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. But here's the good news. By reviewing material at specific intervals, you can interrupt the forgetting process and reinforce your memory. This method is called spaced repetition, and you've probably heard of it. and it really works wonders, so definitely try it out. Here's how to do it. Start by reviewing new material on the same day you learn it, and review it again the next day, and after 3 days, and then a week later, and so on. And focus on the material you keep forgetting rather than spending equal time on what you already know. So, as I said before, focus on your weaknesses. That is the way to efficiently memorizing anything. So, if there's one thing to take away from this video, you have to focus on your weaknesses. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a summary of part 1, and also I'm going to give you guys an action plan because you might need specific steps on how to integrate these study methods into your studying and exam preparation. So first up, you should consolidate all your study materials into one place. And second, now is the time to actually get into memorization. So first, you need to understand the structure and key points, so skim the entire material once or twice, and then do active recall just for the key concepts. And now that you've got a grasp of the material, you are going to dive into the details. So I'm going to mix spaced repetition, active recall, and also layered reading into one study plan. So this is how it goes. On day 1, you're going to do your first review, which consists of reading through the entire material, details included. And on the next day, day 2, you're going to do the same. You're going to do your second review. And then 3 days later, on day 5, instead of just reading the textbook, you are going to do active recall. So, as I mentioned before, there is, writing it out on paper, typing it, or speaking it, and whatever method you choose, do active recall for the entire textbook and details. And after you do active recall, this is really important. Mark the parts you left out with a pen or a highlighter. Yeah, you have to mark them. And the fourth review is on day 12. This is when you will read the entire textbook, but there is one difference from day 12 and days 1 and 2, and that is that you're going to focus more on what you missed out during your active recall. Yeah, focus on your weaknesses, everyone. And the 5th step is on day 26, and that is like 2 weeks later from day 12. This is when you're going to do active recall as well. So you might be wondering, but I'll probably take a test before 26 days elapse from my first review. Just do your last review on the day before the test instead of day 26, and focus on the parts you marked after active recall. If you feel this is insufficient, add in more reviews and active recalls, and that will help you memorize it even more perfectly. So I also am going to introduce flashcards. Although I do recommend studying directly from your textbook, you could also use flashcards to memorize. This way you can memorize on the go. Flashcards are perfect for putting spaced repetition into practice. Digital tools like Anki or Quizlet are great because they automatically space out your reviews for optimal retention. The key is consistency. Don't cram everything the night before your exam. Let your brain do the work over time. Okay, so I have a quick disclaimer here. If taking notes and making them pretty helps you enjoy studying more, just go ahead and do it. Even if note-taking wasn't the best study method for me, it could be for you, but give the methods I introduced a try as well. They will help you be immensely more efficient. Sleep, your memory's best friend. Staying up late to cram might feel productive, but it's one of the worst things you can do for your memory. Sleep is essential for transferring information from your short-term to long-term memory. When you sleep, your brain strengthens the connections between the things you learned that day. So if you don't get enough sleep, your brain struggles to store new information. Aim for at least 7 hours of quality sleep, especially the night before an exam. Be realistic about your study schedule. Plan ahead and don't rely on last-minute cramming. A well-rested mind performs far better than an exhausted one. Practice questions and learning from mistakes. Finally, one of the most effective ways to prepare for exams is by doing practice questions. But don't just stop at answering them, review your mistakes carefully. Whenever you get a question wrong, ask yourself, Why did I get this wrong? What concept or detail did I misunderstand? Make a list of your repeated mistakes and revisit those concepts until you fully understand them. Exams often test similar patterns, so learning from your errors is one of the fastest ways to improve. Studying effectively isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter. By using techniques like active recall, spaced repetition, and multiple read-throughs, you'll build a solid foundation for success. And don't forget, sleep, rest, and balance are just as important as the hours you spend studying. Let me know in the comments which technique you're most excited to try. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Ace It with Emma for more study tips and motivation. You've got this. See you next time. Like and subscribe for more content. Love you.